Hello everyone, myself Viren Sharma, Public Administration Faculty at Vajiram Ravi. Today we are here to discuss about the recently conducted UPSC Mains Examination optional paper. I will be taking the discussion upon PubEd Paper 2 and my colleague Dr. Vivek Kaushik will be taking the discussion upon PubEd Paper 1. This year the exam was on expected lines. So many questions have been direct with just 2 or 3 questions with a twisted tails. So in today's class, we are going to now begin with the PubEd paper 2. Let me just read for you the question and then we will be discussing the suggested possible interpretation and the answers so that you can, those who are appearing for the next year, preparing for the system, you can also practice these answers in order to improve your quality of answers. Those who have appeared this year, it will even help you to identify that have you done the right interpretation of these area or there was some mistake conducted in the interpretation part to adjust for the upcoming next stage. Fine. So the first question was, ethics in public service has been the main concern of Kautilya's Arthashastra. Examine the statement. So basically the ethical dimension which are involved in the Kautilya's Arthashastra has to be provided in a 10-marker question. So for approaching this question, you may begin with that Kautilya's Arthashastra was based upon two principles, Palana and Labh. Where the Palan refers to care, protection, and that Labh will be refers to with respect to conquest and prosperity. That's the idea. So in general, as a common layman, we use the term this Labh for the profit, but that's not correct from the Kautilya's point of view, because for Kautilya, this Labh was with respect to the prosperity of the state and also to expand the prosperity. For that purpose, usually could be a possibility of conquest are there. Otherwise, you can utilize your resources with the fertile land, productivity, agriculture improvement, and with that intent, their idea was for the prosperity. Plus, one of the most essential thing which we can use also after mentioning these two principles is the Kautilya's Arthashastra has talked about this for the brief intro only, Saptanga theory and just the names of 7 elements. So that it is there that he is considering the state as a living entity. And state as a living entity ideology is for what purpose? The king is the head, is it? And the army can be the hands. And apart from that, even that army can be the brain for the kingdom. And we can have our allies who will be ears for us. Then there could be the advisors to advise the king. So that those 7 elements concept will be included, and most important are the 2 dimensions which need to be elaborated. One, he is talking about the qualities of ruler or Swami. And what he has advocated as a quality or ruler or Swami, he advocated that he should follow Atma Vrat. And this Atma Vrat is like self-control. And this Atma Vrat will involve the elements. He has to abandon 6 things. 1, Kama, Lobh, then Krodh. It's better to write in the bracket the meaning for that simplicity. Lust, greed, anger, That's a concern. Plus man. This man is about the pride thing. If you become unnecessary proudy also, then you may even not even give preferences to the difference of opinion or the ideas which are going against you. Mad, that is arrogance. Is it? And one more mechanism, that was with respect to harsh. This harsh is overjoy. That is an idea. So that means the king has to apply the self-control in order to follow the ethical working. Plus also, just to support these ideas, you can provide that the duties of the king. So the king is supposed to consider for welfare, plus protection from the danger, you can consider even land grants to including lower community or peasants, so that this land grant will increase overall agricultural production in the state, and that agricultural production will provide you 1/6 revenue. So whatever agricultural produce they will do, 1/6 of that can also come to the kingdom, and these type of dimensions are going to be considered ethical in nature, because Kautilya was not in favor of very high rate of taxes, and therefore 1/6 was the tax proposed by him for overall agricultural produce, and there he was against this urban style living. Urban style living in the sense people may participate in gambling, alcohol. So he advocated that these things may create a different culture. So he proposed the high rate of taxes on alcohol. Even if you apply this logic also, think about today's constitution, prohibition on the sale or consumption of the liquor, is it? That is provided as a guiding principles of TPSP. And he was talking about all these things in the 4th century BC, that if somebody is consuming alcohol or participating in the gambling, so these things can be taxed at higher rate. And these kind of idea will justify the statement that, see, there was ethics in the public service has been the main concern of the Kautilya's Arthashastra. So he somewhere supporting the idea of the happiness of the king lies in the happiness of the subjects. And if king is going to lead by these idea, then remember the king will not be biased towards any segment, biased towards his own team, and will be looking for the better alternative and welfare mechanism. These ideas can be used in order to structure this 10-marker question. Because 10 markers, so we do not have a scope to explain all these things in a detail. That's why precisely try to focus on those 2 principles, name of the 7 elements of the doctrine, and then the Atmavrat is important because that is about the ethical side, self-restraint or self-control. And this self-control is in the 6 dimensions. That's why Kama, Lobh, Krodh, Mad, Man and Harsh, these 6 elements are supposed to be applied. So try to utilize the Hindi term and in bracket utilize the English meaning to reflect the ideas and the principal terminologies used by the Kautilya. Vice versa is also possible. You may remember English because the means of communication is there. So you may mention those terms, but in bracket try to include the 6 terminology utilized by the Kautilya, because that creates an impact in terms of your answer writing. Now moving on to the next question, second in that line. Mughal administration was by nature centralized. This is one of the most regular questions which is asked upon the Mughal administration. Means Mughal administration was a centralized despotism, Mughal administration was a police state. In the same context, the last two terms got changed. By nature, centralized. So technically, this is about centralization, the centralized administration in the Mughal era. So to answer that one in just a 10 marker one, you may focus in this way. There are two ways of presenting it. One, you may use the term law and order administration. And for that purpose, there were functionaries like Mir Bakshi, Amalguzar. Then we also have the Thanedar, etc. So they will be using in the means different levels of the administrative means divisions. That means at the central court level, we may have the Mir Bakshi as the top. Then in the province or Suba, there will be Bakshi. Then Suba may have a further small division in the name of Sarkar, Pargana and the village. Then we may find at that level Amalguzar, Thanedar and these type of functionaries in order to maintain the law and order situation. Plus, it can be second thing, revenue administration. So for revenue administration, Diwan-e-Kul, Diwan, Amil, these type of terms can be utilized in order to explain different levels of the functionaries in the revenue administration, and their basic task was collection of revenue, and though Diwan is working at the province level, but they have to submit the reports to the centralized one, and their appointments in the province also will be done in the name of the monarch. Even these people working in the province and the lower level, but the appointments of these provincial heads also is done in the name of the king only, and they can be transferred according to the requirement. That way, this revenue administration idea, plus they do have Mansabdari system. So that was rank classification, and this was based upon two aspects, Jat and Sawar. So salary and the number of horsemen maintained by each Mansab, that will be utilized for this Mansabdari system. Then they have also this concept called types of crime. Three types of crime: crime against God, crime against king, and third, crime against individual. So consumption of alcohol, sexual assault, these kind of things are considered as a crime against God. Even the major theft, is it? If the theft can also be small, stealing, chota mota crime, but a bigger theft has been done, treasury has been taken out, then that will be considered as a crime against the God, and for them the death penalty related punishments were provided. Crime against king, then there were Sadru Sudur to look into the religious matter, and Qazi to perform as a judicial officer. They used to provide the punishment in such mechanism. And if it is crime against individual, then in those circumstances there was also practice of the mechanism called blood money or diya and kisses. So retaliation will be there, an eye for eye, hand for hand, blood for blood, that philosophy. And also there was a mechanism that is called blood money. So it's like compensation, monetary compensation is also supposed to be provided, because maybe the only earning member of the family may have died in that crime. Therefore, such mechanism can be presented. This is one way of presenting. Otherwise, you can even go by an alternative scenario, and that is like only use these functionaries. Mir Bakshi, Diwan, and then fort administration. So Kiladar, Mutassadi, these kind of even port administration. So fort is Killa, Kiladar, and port Mutassadi. So only use these names Kiladar, Mutassadi, Diwane-Kul, Mir Bakshi, and also warehouse head, that was Mir Saman. Working under overall control of an emperor. So even in 6 points also we can classify it briefly, that is by the only name of these functionaries and an explanation of them. Otherwise, alternative structure is to provide in this way law and order administration, revenue administration, and that can also do the justice with this question. So it's up to us how, in which organized manner we wanted to present the answer. Both are equally acceptable. Is it? So in that case, if first question we have not gone in this way, we just have gone with the value because that was the demand of the question. Second is about the nature is centralized. So we are going accordingly, that how from top to bottom, everything is getting under centralized control. That was the logic. Third question, 1C. Autonomy of public sector undertaking is a myth. Analyze. So this is about the PSU question, and the PSU question with a 10 marker idea. So to approach with this idea, you may briefly mention about PSU and why or objectives for their creation. That's like intro part. Very briefly, that PSUs were established from the second 5-year plan with an objective to achieve high economic growth rate, import substitution, and they can take the nation towards the commanding heights, employment generation, just that type of thought processes. And in the same intro, we should also add one more line, that in India, we have 3 types of classification of the PSUs, and that is departmental undertaking, corporations, and companies. So that everything related to the concept part has been included. And then we will come upon the issue, that is about the autonomy. That's the case. So when we talk about this autonomy thing, we have to remember the government has provided the autonomy to these PSUs in how many forms? One, MOU system. That is one. Second, they are given, initially government introduced for them Navratna status 1997. Then same year 1997, by October, government introduced the concept called Mini Ratna. Mini Ratna also have 2 divisions, 1 and 2. And thereafter is Maharatna. All these Navratna, Mini Ratna 1, 2, Maharatna, these all provide opportunity to whom? Board of Directors. To take what? Investment decisions. And that investment decisions, Navratna company can take up to 1000 crore or 15% of net worth. Mini Ratna 1 can invest up to 500 crore or 100% of net worth. Mini Ratna 2, 250 crore or 50% of net worth. That much autonomy has been provided by the status, and Maharatna company can invest up to 5,000 crore rupees or 15% of net worth. These decisions can be taken by whom? The board of directors who is running these organization. However, if the investment amount is bigger than these limits, then such PSUs have to approach to their administrative ministries. And that amounts to control. So it's a combination of autonomy and accountability which is existing in the public sector. However, if the company is loss making, if the company is sick, then it can be referred for the Department for Investment and Public Asset Management, which will reconsider this entire loss making or sick PSU and then may consider it for privatization or disinvestment options. So that way these dimensions are relevant in order to include in this current question. Because question is analyzed, so we have both the side. We can go with the positive side also, as well as we are bringing a balanced opinion. So in PSUs, autonomy is a myth is not a completely correct statement, because in the today's time period, if you talk about board of directors, so board of directors are able to take the investment decision. It could be joint venture, creation of a subsidiary company, that is possible, creation of a company outside India. So a Maharatna company, Navratna company, they do have a power to even go for such options also, but the amount of the money should be within the limits. And that way, these PSUs are able to take the decision without every time running to the government, and that reflects the autonomy side. But if the investment amount is bigger than that, then only this concept of administrative control or approval are required. And then those cases, cabinet committees can approve investment decisions, because Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs will have the power to consider such approvals. So that way this answer can be structured as per the 10 marker requirement. We may not require to mention here eligibility criteria for these one, because that will increase unnecessarily the length of the answer, and word limit challenges will be possible. And what you can do additionally, if you remember, just one example of Maharatna, Miniratna, Navratna can be added. That will authenticate your explanation according to requirement of the question. So this is an idea. So it's not that completely it's a myth and it's just vague. No, it is there. However, for extra investment option, they require approval. And if it's a company which is loss making, then what autonomy we have to give them? They are already going to be a burden upon the government, and we may have to reconsider the investment if they are survivable. If they can revive, we will invest the money. If they cannot revive, then as per the Government of India policy of 2021, they can be either disinvested, privatized, or maybe closed down for the time being to reduce the losses of the government. That's a present policy with respect to loss-making PSUs. So these ideas can be included. The next question, question number 1D. Question number 1D says, it should be people's PMO. It cannot be Prime Minister's PMO. Is it? And then it is about comment. So it is supposed to be the people's PMO and cannot be the Prime Minister's PMO. So question is more in the form of a sarcastic comment made with respect to this office of the PMO. So when we are approaching this answer, means question is also about comment. So when it is about comment, you have both the options available, either to support the statement or to counter that statement. You can even counter also this one, because maybe the people's PMO can also be the Prime Minister's PMO. Reason, the Prime Minister have been voted by the same people only in order to perform the functions. So to approach in this part, you may use this idea. PMO enjoys the status of an independent department under Government of India Allocation of Business Rules 1961, and these rules have assigned certain functions. So at least 5 to 6 small functions can be included as per assignment by this portion of the Government of India Allocation of Business Rules. So when we use this allocation of business rules, what are the functions given? So it is like assist Prime Minister in decision making. So Prime Minister may have to take various policy decision and it needs analysis of those policy. So that will be done by the Prime Minister's office, and usually this Prime Minister's office will be headed by Principal Secretary. So administrative head, Principal Secretary will be advising the Prime Minister on those various areas, plus the public relations of PM. That means various visits of the Prime Minister and making those declarations, Prime Minister's speech on various important events. These kind of idea are also performed by the PMO. Not just that, even we have a program called PM Man Ki Baat. So technically that belongs to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. They are organizing that a radio program, but overall response, content, that also comes via this Prime Minister's public relations side, and via that mechanism this Man Ki Baat is also with respect to public relations side of the PMO. Plus the PMO also consider various decisions, all the decisions of the cabinet are also communicated to PMO, so that monitoring of those decisions, if any decision has to be also overruled or changed, then that thing can also be done by the intervention of the Prime Minister with the help of PMO. Plus this PMO also have in the present time period PM Cares Fund, and this also have project monitoring group. And because of this project monitoring group, Pragati, the Pragati platform is also provided assistance also by the Principal Secretary apart from Cabinet Secretary. And this thing has been an outcome of giving Principal Secretary the rank of a cabinet. So because of the cabinet rank, what happened, he also become eligible to attend those cabinet meetings, and therefore it become a kind of PMO versus cabinet secretariat approach. So point here is the PMO's role has been provided by allocation of business rules, and it should deal more and more, you can say accessibility to the general public can be given to the PMO as per this statement. But that is already available. The accessibility of the general public to the PMO is available through, there's a mechanism called CP Gram, Centralized Public Grievance Redressal and Monitoring System. This work usually from Ministry of Personnel. It usually work from Ministry of Personnel. But when a complaint, that is also under the, usually Prime Minister keeps that Ministry of Personnel under his control and also delegate this power to the Minister of State rank. So whenever these complaints are received by them and the mentioning of the Prime Minister is concerned, so monitoring of this can also be done through project monitoring group, so that the coordination between the system can be provided. And also there is a body which is Cabinet Secretariat, and within that we have a body called Directorate General of Public Grievances. So via that also any decision taken will come here to the PMO and will provide the participation of the Prime Minister in such matter. So these dimensions, if you observe, then you will find everything related to the general public is going to be brought into the PMO. So in that context, you may support that it is already working as People's Prime Minister's Office rather than only Prime Minister in an autocratic style and his PMO. So because Prime Minister can also work as an autocratic style, in that context it become a negative opinion. But when the people have such connect with the Prime Minister, in that context the same working will become positive in this scenario. So this is about the working of the PMO, and that answer can be structured appropriately, and you can support that it's already working as a people's PMO rather than working as a Prime Minister's PMO. That idea can be possible, and why this you can justify because of these things. PM Cares Fund. So PM Care Fund has to take care of the distressed people who even PM Care Children also has been created after this COVID only. That means this after second year of the COVID, for the taking care of children, PM Care Children, that is also working, and these are related to whom? The common people and their welfare. And in that context, it is possible to justify that PMO is working for people's PMO. If you miss these PM Care Fund and also the PM Care Children, then obviously your opinion is going to be towards the other side, that it is working more like a dominating system, but that will not be completely a correct information. You must include these ideas, PM Care Fund and also PM Care Children, so that you will justify this practice. That is an idea. So both opinions will be subjectively correct depending upon how it has been explained and supported in your answer. Plus the PMO also participate in, that is with respect to two extra informations. One, the civilian and military recognitions or awards. So if you observe in the last 10 years, how many common people have been appreciated by this Ministry of Culture, and those were even brought into the Padma Awards, Padma Vibhushan Awards, and multiple of those individuals has been brought into the consideration, and it has become actually the People's Award. So for that purpose, this point also will explain and help you to suggest your explanation of People's PMO. And apart from this, the PM also participate in all defense related and the judicial appointments, where the president has to take the decision. All these things are supported and channelized through the office of the PMO. So these all 5-7 points will be more than enough in order to explain a 10-marker question in this question number 1. One last, implementation of okay, now this is 1E, so 5th question from this 1 number question. implementation of the GST has led to paradigm shift in the center-state relations, both financially and politically analyzed. So basically 2 dimensions they are asking. The GST has brought a paradigm shift in the political aspect, and the second is the financial aspect. So even if you do not divide in this way, that's also not a problem. Then you can just mention all of them together as a point. The changes brought by the GST amendment in the entire system. So for convenience, I'm just bifurcating in this way. You can even utilize by clubbing all of them together. So with respect to this political mega shift, we have introduced the concept of GST Council. And within this GST Council, representation is in the hands of center and states, plus the voting percentage is very important here. The center's voting percentage or the value of the vote of the center is only 1/3. The value of votes enjoyed by the state is 2/3. And the decision to be taken by the GST Council, decision making majority, will require 3/4 or 75%. So basically neither the center alone nor the states alone can take any major policy decision in the GST Council. And if you observe here, majority of the vote is going in the hands of the state government. So it actually strengthens the spirit of cooperative federalism. If center alone have more voting power and state have a less voting power, then it can be unitary tendency. That's a concern. If only state alone can take the decision, then obviously the center may become weak. But here, joint efforts of both are relevant in order to bring any change in the policy decision. And that's why this is a political side shift with ideas of cooperative federalism. So it is strengthening them. And not just that, the team will decide. That means the GST Council will decide when we have to merge the taxes, when we have to create the rate of taxes. So in that context, you may add 2-3 points with respect to the GST Council, like GST slabs, when the petrol and diesel will be brought under the provisions of GST. These kind of decisions are to be taken by the GST Council only. That's why that's a part related to the political shift. On the other hand, when it is financial shift, so for financial shift, what happened? There has been the GST is applied on dual tax basis. However, popular slogan is one nation, one tax. That's a concern. So if you apply one nation, one tax, then it should be what? GST. Let's say the GST at a rate 18%. So what happened is to 18%, this get divided into CGST, SGST, 9% each. So that's why principally it is this concept. Center is also applying, state is also applying equally. And therefore, the total amount of rate is presented 18%. But in actual practice, it is about center and state because so many taxes by the center and states have been merged. So one is this, that it's applied on a dual tax basis by center and state. Second thing, what happened financially, merger of or subsume of various indirect taxes. So service tax has been merged. Apart from service tax, Sen VAT has also been merged, state level VAT has been merged, state level excise was known as the sales tax concern, various taxes, entertainment tax imposed by the state government, luxury tax imposed by the state government, they have been merged together, and that by merging we have introduced a single taxation which is applied on dual principle basis. So multiple indirect taxes have been merged, and this has taken place in the form of means GST. Plus the revenue collection for the state, larger number of state has also improved. For some state it has gone down. Why? Because their population may have migrated to other place, they have a less consumption in their territory. So GST is a destination based tax. So if you produce also in your state and consume also in your state, the benefits will stay with your state for that purpose. And in this context, when we talk about this financial aspect only, so one, subsuming has taken place, GST thing has taken place, and overall tax base is common. That is a very relevant point to understand this paradigm shift. Means now center and state both will be applying the tax on same product, and that too equally. When it was earlier era of Sen VAT, excise duty or the sales tax era, so they were at different rates were imposed, and on certain commodities the center only used to impose the taxes, states may not be even allowed. So at present either it is your means food articles, either it is about the purchase of electronic equipments, on each and every article including the clothing and other one, there will be a common tax to be collected by the center as well as state, and that has resulted into this financial shift. So these two dimensions can be brought, and approximately 5-6 points will be easily structured in this answer. And to make a simple concern also, you may use the ideas of the 15th Finance Commission, and that is with respect to compensation plus cess. Is it various states who have lost the revenue for their compensation idea, cess related matter, these things can be identified as a concern for GST, for which the government is supposed to take the adequate step in a time bound manner. Plus for general public it was said that GST will be providing the relief. So on various issues that relief has taken place, but one of the bigger problem is still that is about the fuel thing, because once these fuel part are also brought into the GST, we may have a significant reduction about the fuel prices, and if fuel prices will fall, then they will also be reflected in the other cost of production, transportation cost. These all things can also become gradually affordable. So that's a simple thought process we can apply in this concept of GST question. Moving to the next one. The National Data and Analysis Platform of Niti Aayog facilitates a robust ecosystem to promote democratization and inclusivity in the development discussed. 20 markers, so obviously the length of the question can become a challenge, and this is with respect to means intro part. We may talk about Niti Aayog and briefly you can add the guiding principles for Niti Aayog. So 7 guiding principles have been there that can be brought into the initial discussion, and then put more focus upon NDAP, National Data and Analysis Platform. So this has been one of the flagship program of the Niti Aayog, and what they try to seek, their idea is they wanted to provide accessibility. They wanted to focus upon quality. interoperable interactive, that's a part, and then it do include user centric. Approach. These are the major functions to be performed by this National Data and Analysis Platform. So basically this is working as a division in the Niti Aayog, and idea is these things are somewhere going to support about one, Digital India, and second most important thing, public digital infrastructure. Which we are promoting. India is promoting it in the G20 and various other platforms. That means we developed our UPI payment system, KYC updates also, and that is a part of presently public digital infrastructure, and this public digital infrastructure is an outcome of the success story of Digital India. So that data has expanded, coverage has expanded. In that context, the data become important, and that is the responsibility of National Data and Analytics program of the Niti Aayog, and that will be providing these multiple dimensions. So these 5 dimensions are considered as a detailed function. So an explanation of these 5 separate functions with a relevant example will be more than enough in order to present the answer. And because it is about discuss, so try to include concern with respect to data. There was a current year GS question also which was talking about the data privacy related issues. That concerns can be included here also with respect to the data. That is right to be forgotten also, misuse of a data, fake profile concerns, that is also a major relevant concern of the modern times. So this balanced opinion can come in the detailed explanation. That means the first page we are using for Niti Aayog and overall guiding principle, because 20 markers, so a length has to be extended. If it is just a 10 marker, no problem, directly just mention about these one. But because it's a 20 marker one, so length also will be relevant and adequate content has to be structured. And for that purpose, this is ideal way to means introduction part, explanation part, and then will also bring the concern. And if you have to give a roadmap as a solution also, then remember please, in India, we are already working with 2 laws system. One, we are replacing IT Act 2000 by Digital India Act 2023. The bill was proposed and presented in the Parliament. So this Digital India Act will be providing a solution for these concerns. And second, the Data Protection Act, which has already been passed also last year, and that will provide the solution for the concerns you are raising for the data privacy. And under this IT Act last 2021, we have formulated various guidelines, intermediary guidelines and the social media guidelines, OTT platform related guidelines. So they will also be part of this old act. And now these guidelines in future will become part of Digital India Act. So concern part can be solved with the help of this mechanism, but the application part of the National Data Analytics Program, that will be the major area of explanation. I mean, this is the major body to explain, and concern and solution part will additionally help from these points. That's an overall idea for this question. Moving on to the next part. Examine the impact on administration in view of relation between political executive and permanent executive. So this is about minister civil servant relationship. Examine the impact on administration in view of the changing relations between political and permanent executive. So it is about the minister and civil servant relationship. So on one side, these are temporary executive or political head, and these are permanent. Yes, permanent executive, and these are the political executives. So for permanent executive, we do have in our constitution various constitutional articles. They starts from here, 309, 10, 11 and 12. Plus for the ministers and the working, we usually have constitutional provisions in the sense that Article 74, 5, 7 and 8. So they will be taking the decision in the name of president, will be appointed by the president, working in that because it's a 20 marker. So explanation also and constitutional provision should be included in order to have an impact on the examiner, and then go upon what is the role they have. Role of permanent executive. Towards political executive. So this role will be multidimensional, like assist in decision making. So advice will be given by the permanent executive or bureaucrats to the politician. Plus they will also assist in parliamentary question and answer. I'm just using the short form. Parliamentary question and answers will be the answer for the parliamentary question to the ministers usually will be coming from the permanent executive. Then they also participate in drafting policy. So decision on the policy taken by the permanent executive or the politician, but drafting of that policy will be done by the bureaucracy. Once this is done, then remember other side, execution of the decision. So this execution part will again be done with the help of the line agency, and that is responsibility of again these permanent executive. So directorates, headquarters and field offices, they usually will be participating in the execution of policy. Plus if any reforms are needed, so suggestion for reforms in the policies, suggestion for reforms also in the laws are usually proposed by the permanent executives to the political executive. So this reform related scenario is also performed. Now this is the role what these line agencies and staff agencies are performing for the political executive. However, in recent years, we are observing certain confrontations. So the first part of this answer with respect to the constitutional provision and the role has been provided. Thereafter, we will go for the concern or emerging trends. In this emerging trends, at least 3 to 4 separate situations we have to bring. Like we are finding some confrontations where an IAS officer was late in the meeting which was required for disaster management, and PM was to visit in that meeting, and these officers means it was happening in state of West Bengal, where the Prime Minister was to meet with the State Chief Minister to discuss over the impact of disaster, and on that basis the state can be looking for their roadmap, and maybe any assistance from the center can also be considered. But it has not been done in according to that scenario, and confrontation was observable, where even he was also late to reach in the meeting. Cadre controlling authority of these officers is the Ministry of Personnel, which is under the control of the Prime Minister. And when the center has issued the show cause notice, it has not been accepted in a good way, and the officer has reached to the court in order to impose the stay order and other thing. That's a confrontational side. On the other hand, the same IAS officer took VRS. He took the voluntary retirement also. His retirement was due next week and suddenly he took. Then what happened in that case? He was appointed as special advisor by Chief Minister. So the officer who was supposed to be punished for indiscipline is getting now appointment and support from the state government and appointed as a special advisor to the Chief Minister. Now these things goes against the simple philosophy of constitutional values and civil service conduct rule, and going like a confrontational system between the center and state and participating in the politics. That thing goes against this idea of constitutional morality. Not just that, in the state like Punjab also, that is again failure in duty or lack of dedication in duties. And in that state, again the PM was to visit for a rally, and there was the roadblock. And it is again a security challenge because NSG and other, they all have returned back because coordination was required between the SPG, Special Protection Group, and the State Police for the smooth transit of the Prime Minister. But that has not been done in a proper way, and this also attracts a kind of failure and lack of dedication on the part, and somewhere a politicization of the issues are happening, and that thing goes against the spirit of constitutional democracy. In a state like Haryana, there was a public meeting where the minister, IAS and IPS were doing like a Jan Sunwai. So general public will be participating, and people were raising the question that see, in the state of Haryana, the number of wine shops, liquor shops are rising. So why means they are not getting stopped, and why you are giving more and more licenses? And what happened at that point of time is there was a verbal spat between the IPS officer and the minister, because IPS officer responded in the public that it is not we who are giving the permission, but these are given permission by the political head, and we are just giving the NOCs only. And that created a verbal spat publicly at that level. So that happened in the state of Haryana. And one very popular case where it's like slap and a kind of infighting has been reported between the Chief Secretary of Delhi and the Chief Minister of Delhi. These four separate examples of four separate states will help you to balance your opinion, that you are not just looking for one state and the working, you are looking from the political neutrality perspective and bringing a pan-India approach in your ideas or discussion. So this is ideal way. But in exam, when you are writing, how many of those opinion you may recall and can write, that will decide the overall quality. But it's better to include different states. In city of Delhi, between CM and Chief Secretary. The complaint that it was slap was there, and later on the matter reached to the court also. That's why the question is impact on administration in view of the changing relation. If this is happening between the political and permanent executive, so imagine how it will affect the administration. So effect on administration is what? Low morale, political loyalty. Then also they will be looking for fear of transfer, delay in career advancement, these kind of situations can affect the administration. Plus, because of these reasons, what happened to efficiency? Low efficiency. That's a system. And sometime because of the low efficiency, there can be displacement of goals. All these ideas can happen based upon such type of issues existing in the country. That was the broad idea for a 20-marker answer. Next one, decentralized planning enhances the economic decentralized planning enhances economic development and social justice. It's a 10-marker one. So briefly you can explain. Talking about question number 2C, and it is about decentralized planning. So briefly for a 10-marker, what we can do, a concept of decentralized planning. That's one. Use in a small example, the planning by the district planning committee by merging the plans of Panchayati Raj institution and also municipal corporation. Is an example of the decentralized planning operating in the states at the district level. So from low, that plan is coming and they are formulating the district plan. So formulation of district development plan by the district planning committee will be an example for this decentralized planning. And thereafter, just two-way divergence, advantages and disadvantages. That's a way. So means advantages of the decentralized planning. You can have more inclusiveness, regional issues, solutions can be combination of customs plus modern solutions. And if the plan is prepared by the common people, then acceptance is higher. That's a concern. These all are the positive sides of the decentralized planning. And limitations will also be possible. Limitations are like that what is the level of the skills, ability to foresee, decision making, because sometime at that level it is too difficult to arrive at a consensus. Is it decision making or agreement on the issue, which can cause a problem of delay. Basically that is the challenge. The delay can happen in order to convince those people, and do have an issue of a high degree of politicization, and because of that the decision may not be taken in the given time period. These kind of dimensions, 4 points minimum, we can add in this 10-marker question. That will be more than enough. It's a direct question about the decentralized planning. Next one, 3A. So entire question number 3 has been allocated and dedicated towards the state government and administration only, and that's why all 3 questions are reflecting the coverage from just one single unit only, and that is the third A, the role of the State Finance Commission. That's an idea, the role of the State Finance Commission. So when we talk about the State Finance Commission, as far as the question is concerned, the role of State Finance Commission in distribution of finance between state and local government is vital. Discuss. So it's a direct question about the role of the State Finance Commission, and to overcome this question, you may begin with that when the State Finance Commission concept has emerged. So this is one from 73rd CAA and another from 74th CAA. And articles, if you remember, article 243I and 243Y. These two separate articles empowers the state government to create the State Finance Commission for the purpose of the main function. What is that main function? So they have to decide about distribution of resources, and this is between whom? State government and local self-government. So panchayats and municipalities, between them, from the state divisible pool, the money has to be recommended for that distribution. Plus, they will also recommend grants in aid, because local self-government do not have adequate amount of financial resources. So grants in aid are also supposed to be provided. Plus, the measures to augment financial resources of local self-government. So how can we further improve the financial resources and regular income option for the local self-government? For that purpose, what we have to do, we require to make recommendation of taxes, fee, charges, which can be allocated by state government to the local self-government, and that will provide them a regular income options. These are constitutional side role for the State Finance Commission. To further elaborate this, what we should also utilize in that scenario is, it's about its analysis part. Because this part will talk about its role and the importance, that why we need it. But are we appointing the State Finance Commissions regularly? Because that is a cause of concern, and in that context, we may use the ideas from 15th Finance Commission. They have also made certain suggestions, and there has been a study with respect to the State Finance Commission, which was referred by the 15th Finance Commission while making their recommendation. And they said, the state governments are not appointing the State Finance Commissions regularly. And this is visible from the number of times State Finance Commission have been appointed by the different states. Let's say Telangana is the latestly created state in that category from 2014 onwards. So if Telangana have just one time Finance Commission appointed, could be justified. But if the state is existing from earlier time period and they have just 2-time appointment of State Finance Commission, 3-time only appointment of the State Finance Commission, that shows lack of regular appointment of the State Finance Commission by the various states, and that study was sanctioned by the Union Finance Commission with the help of various research institutes of our country, and from that this data is useful. Plus, there are issues with respect to terms of references. So there is no uniform criteria that what terms of references we have to give also to the Finance Commission of the state. Point is, these points which we are discussing here are the constitutional provision added by 73rd and 74th Amendment Act. If our state is facing problem with respect to industrialization, we may refer additional terms of references for the State Finance Commission, but rarely there is uniform criteria or pattern followed for this appointment, and that's why that become a criticism. Plus, number of time it is possible recommendations given by the State Finance Commission, but the state government has not responded, because recommendations are not binding. So number of states, they do not even give preferences to the recommendations given by the State Finance Commission, and that way these three major parameters are part of the study referred by the 15th Finance Commission while making their recommendation, and we are able to utilize and include that in the analysis part. So give a way forward. Problems you have highlighted, then give a way forward, and the way forward is what? That before you appoint the Finance Commission by the Government of India, it is important that the State Finance Commission time period should be in synchronity. So, report of SFC shall be available to FC, Finance Commission of the Union, so that these recommendations can be considered by the Finance Commission in order to suggest the formula for the distribution of resources. Plus, the terms of reference should be properly defined by each state, and the recommendation, if they are not following, then they should also provide action taken report. Action taken report should be there about what are the recommendations given, and are we agree with these recommendations, or we wanted to go against the recommendation. So some logical rejections can happen. Otherwise, these reports are usually in the cold storage and they are not reported in the public domain, and that adversely affect the spirit of federal structure in state, because from center the states demand more funds, more autonomy, but when it comes to the state to give this autonomy, that is visible by these kind of scenario, that even they do not give regular appointment weightage to the State Finance Commission, and that is the dual standards, or you can say lack of dedication on part of state to respect the local self-government as an institution of self-governance. Right? That type of balance view we can provide. Now, the second, the question number 3B. The center-state relations are undergoing a drastic change. They are undergoing a drastic change. So divide it into just two parts. One, that is concept part, and second is that application part. Because when you talk about this conceptual part, so briefly you require to include the constitutional provisions for the purpose of explanation in the form of legislative relation, administrative relations, and financial relations. That's a static part of this question because it's a 20 marker, so required to elaborate accordingly. That is this side. So when it is about legislative relation, obviously from article number 245 onwards till 255 exists, at least 2-3 provisions can be included with that, within that classification. Administrative relations 256 onwards, and they goes till 264, that is interpretation related scenario. You can end it by 263 also, not a wrong thing, because interstate council will be last there, and after that is interpretations. Then financial relations 265 onwards they start, and they goes till 293. The that is called borrowings by the state, loans and borrowings by the state, that is 293. So from these we can keep on briefly explaining and mentioning the provisions from constitutional side, so that the static part will be done in an organized way, and then comes upon this application side. So with respect to this legislative relation, is it center has interfered with the help of farm laws in the name of interstate trade and commerce. That's a concern. Otherwise, the farm laws as agriculture as a subject belongs to the state list. So how can the center is going to make a law on that matter? But the interstate trade and commerce as a subject is a part of union list. So agricultural product coming from one state to another state can be related with the ideas of interstate trade and commerce of agricultural commodities, and that way this interference has been possible. Plus, apart from this law side, the another thing which has also created a challenge is the centrally sponsored schemes. So more and more new welfare schemes are creating a challenges between center and state, specifically opposition rule states. How come? Just observe this way. When the government of India introduced PMJAY, Ayushman Bharat or Jan Arogya Yojana, various states have not even supported and implemented the scheme. There was scheme with the name PM Kisan Samman Nidhi. So West Bengal has not even participated in the implementation of that scheme till the time state elections were conducted. Later on it was implemented. That shows the political side. Not just that, even this PM Awas Yojana. So it was in the news that the state like Andhra was implementing the scheme, but they have later on changed the name of the program to CM Awas Yojana. And when the center came to know about such practice, the center has blocked the funding. And that created again a kind of confrontational relationship between the central government and state government. Already regarding Manrega wages, there are two different viewpoints available, one from center, another from the state, because as per center, state has not done the audit for the Manrega wages. Even the social audit was also not done by the state, which is a mandatory rule under Manrega Act. And the state government was reporting that the wages have been delayed, not getting properly paid. Again, that is a symbol of confrontation. That's a concern. With respect to the financial matter, you will identify the GST compensation. That's a concern. Plus that law and order related post-poll violence. That's the case. Plus one of the this post-poll violence was in the state of West Bengal, and regular that violence in the state of Manipur. And here the no action have been taken by the central government with respect to considering the imposition of the president rule, because both of these situations are like breakdown of constitutional machinery. And no action have been taken. So in that circumstances, this is all going in a negative direction and not is in the according to requirement of the constitutional morality. And that way, this drastic change idea can be possible. Plus, number of states have done what? They have passed resolutions against Citizenship Amendment Act. Use I also, Indian Citizenship Amendment Act 2019, that we will not implement it. No state have a power to even stop that law from implementation. Reason, citizenship is a union subject and union government have every right to amend and apply it also. If we have to challenge, we can challenge in the court of law, but as a state, we don't have a power to restrict this from the implementation. With respect to the CBI, certain states have withdrawn concept. They withdraw consent from the CBI. So if that is happening in the country, then it will definitely put a strain upon the center-state relations, and that's why these are passing under this mechanism of the drastic changes. Plus, in certain states also, there was anti-defection law which has failed, and the government have been changed by the defections between the political party, and that is somewhere making the anti-defection law weaker. Even two states, one was NCT of Delhi, another one was Punjab, they conducted a special session also of confidence motion to prove majority. However, only in the media it was there that there was a threat for the government. However, that has been a part of their confrontational politics by these two government. Otherwise, maximum these concerns can be used in the drastic changes, and to give a way forward, you must use Punchi Commission. Punchi Commission, because that was the special commission on center-state relation, or we can call it second commission on center-state relations. Like for other part, we give ARC second. So here for center-state relations, we should utilize the idea of Punchi Commission. Then the third question from this part only, 3C, moving to that part. 3C. And this is about there has been a strain in the relations between governor and state government. Examine 10 marker part. So for that purpose, briefly we will talk about the governor and the various roles which he play, like administrative role, just the terms, legislative role, financial role, which are done on the aid and advice of Council of Minister. But the governor also have discretion, and that discretion is very limited or rare aspect that can be from this Article 356 related report, assent to bill under Article 200 and 201, reserving a bill for the consideration of the President, 201. Otherwise, he can himself also apply suspensive veto or withhold of a bill. In this context, there has been certain challenges in recent year. So we may have a restriction of the 10 marker thing. So we can just mention one or two small example for this purpose. Imagine in the state of Tamil Nadu, the state government gave advice to the governor under Article 161 with respect to judicial power. And the governor was doing delay in the remission of the sentenced individual. That reached to the Supreme Court, Perarivalan versus State of Tamil Nadu, and then Supreme Court decided that the governor of the state also enjoy the power to grant pardon and in the matters of the death penalties as well. And not just that, in that case, the Supreme Court ordered immediate release of the person who was in the life imprisonment, because earlier death penalty was converted into life imprisonment. And then the state government was making recommendation in order to set the person free. So that matter was getting delayed by him. So that Tamil Nadu matter can be brought here. Another one is Punjab government. Punjab government, Kerala government, including Telangana. All three have almost similar with respect to assent to a bill. So governor was doing unnecessary delay in the sense bill has came to the office of governor and after that they are not responding back. Means you may declare either I am withholding the assent or you may send it back for the reconsideration of the house. But governor was not doing any of those opportunity and keeping it hold. Either you can send it for the consideration of president, wo bhi nahi kar rahe hain. And then the matter reached to court. And then Governor of Punjab versus Government of Punjab case judgment came in 2023. and it was decided that see, the governor has to return bill back as soon as possible. So even if you withhold, what after withhold you do? That is generally called pocket veto. So here if you are withholding the bill, after that the bill has to be returned back to the house, and if second time they are again going to pass. This is very unique. The difference between pocket veto and suspensive veto has been blurred after the judgment of 2023, and it has been even said to Kerala governor also that refer the Supreme Court judgment of 2023 November, so that you can also do the timely decisions. And that's why this is happening in recent year between the governor and the state government. Even in the state of Punjab, the summon of the house, prorogue of the house is supposed to be done by whom? Governor. But Speaker of the State Assembly was doing adjournment sine die. So if the adjournment sine die done, then to call the session, the power is in the hands of Speaker. Now this is misuse of a power, and this is also an unethical practice on the part of the state government. So bring this balance between the answer of both the sides, so that it will not look like a one-sided explanation, and you may even bring a balanced opinion. What if the state government is not working as per constitutional morality, and rather than doing the prorogue or prorogation of the house, they are only asking the speaker to do adjournment sine die. So that's not a suitable idea, and that's why that was subject to criticism. Right? So that these ideas can be used under the governor's topic. Next one, fourth question, 4th A. Public sector undertaking have been the bedrock of the welfareism in India. So again, this question is on PSU. And to answer this question, we can, because it's a 20 marker, so what we have to do, we have to briefly discuss the PSU and its objectives. Why the PSUs have been established, we will use this first page for the overall explanation of the PSUs. And thereafter, we have been asked in the question, evaluate the pros and cons of the current disinvestment scenario. So our new policy on disinvestment, it came in 2021. So about that policy, the government has talked about core area and strategic area. For them, the government will continue its business, and in the non-strategic area, the government may consider disinvestment. That is the part of that policy 2021. So after adding this content part, that will authenticate now your answer to score on a higher side. And thereafter, you may go with the concept part only, and that concept part is what? Advantages of disinvestment and limitations or disadvantages of the disinvestment policy. And that's make a straightforward, simple answer for disinvestment and the means its evaluation part. But this is the factual part to be added, without which the overall answer may not be able to attract the higher side of the score. That's why this fact is relevant, and because it's a 20 marker, we wanted to extend the length also. For that purpose, we may use this option on the first page, second page, third and the fourth page. We are writing about this critical evaluation, because if we structure accordingly, then we can expect a good score in the PubMed, and that is one of the ideal way to get a higher score in the PubMed answers. Now the next one, 4B. 4B is about collegium. The collegium system of the appointment of the higher judiciary has been the cornerstone of independence of judiciary. It has remained as the subject of debate in the recent past. So recent past has been also the term utilized and discussed. So with respect to appointment of the judges, it is important to bring into the discussion articles also 124 with respect to the Supreme Court. Second, with respect to the High Court judges, their appointment, and one more article, that is 222. This is also transfer of High Court judges. That is needed, so that all the three articles should be included, because they all are relevant with respect to appointment of the higher judiciary in the country, Supreme Court as well as the High Court. And in those aspects, the President will be acting on the advice of, in case of this part, CJI. So CJI will hold consultation with whom? Collegium. So CJI plus 4 senior most Supreme Court judges will be part of that collegium. When it comes to the State High Court one, so what happened here? It is about CJI plus collegium. That is one. Chief Justice of High Court has to hold discussion with 2 High Court judges. That is also relevant, and the governor's opinion is also obtained. That means the file also goes to governor of the state, so that their opinion is taken, High Court Chief Justice opinion is taken, and then the CJI and his collegium will also be holding the discussion, and then it goes to President for the final appointment. That is also presently working as a collegium. If we have to transfer a judge of one High Court to another High Court, for that purpose, all these 3 are here also common. But we also have to obtain the opinion of the Chief Justice of High Court where we are transferring. So technically, instead of 3, we have here 4. So this one, Chief Justice of High Court. So 2 High Court Chief Justice discussion will happen. Means if we are transferring Delhi High Court judge to the Punjab and Haryana High Court. So Chief Justice of Delhi, his opinion will come, and Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court, his opinion will also come with respect to article number 222. That is presently working as a collegium. And why this recent past thing is there? Because we brought 99th NJAC. So this provision has been added 124A, 124B, 124C. So at least explain composition of the NJAC, and after mentioning them, you may write the grounds for declaring it unconstitutional, so that the justice will happen with the 99th Amendment Act. And because in recent year it has been again said by certain judges that the appointment procedure is not fair. And you know one unique point, even in the judgment, one of the conclusion mentioned in the judgment of the Supreme Court is, let us assume that the system has flaw. Let us assume the system has flaw. Still, everybody get opportunity to give their opinion. That means Prime Minister and also Chief Minister of the state, Governor of the state, Law Minister, because when the file is going from the CJI to President, it do not go directly. It go via PMO. And PMO get this file via Law Ministry, Ministry of Law and Justice, and then it goes to President. So from PMO the files are returned sometimes. But second time if the collegium give the same name, then it becomes binding upon the President via again the PMO only. And that's why the court have given this part also in their judgment. So things are happening right now in an implied manner, and that was made explicit in the NJAC judgment. So that's why this has been the concern. Because now the judgment have been already declared unconstitutional. So when we are giving a future suggestion also, we may use out of the three any one option. What are these three options? One recommendation was given by Law Commission of India 1987. They said National Judicial Commission. That is their recommendation. Another one was given by National Commission to Review the Working of Constitution 2000. Out of these three, any one will be suitable. And third is given by the second ARC. So any one of them will be more than enough in order to give a future roadmap. The best composition was given by Law Commission of India, because it also suggested that at least we should include the High Court judges also in that commission. That was called National Judicial Council, so we can include them, which is one of the ground mentioned here, that in the new scheme there is no role for the Chief Justice of High Court, so that problems and composition will get resolved if you think about this Law Commission of India 1987. That was the overall idea. And third question, the concept of bureaucratic authoritarianism is one of the models of non-democratic rules. So technically the bureaucratic authoritarianism is what? That we as a civil servant are not even looking for the democratic value and are adopting some autocratic approaches. Yes, so it's basically about in certain territories you may find military rule, or the bureaucracy in this military rule will have more and more autocratic approach. That's a concern. Or if the state government has decided that we do not want to allow the opposition party to enter. So again, what even in a democratic state, the state can make misuse of administrative machinery and can use it for political rivalry. Even there are allegations upon the central organizations also, like CBI, ED as well, that they are targeting only the opposition party. And one or two instances are like this only, that where the CBI and ED were taking actions against the member when he was in opposition party. And later on he joined the ruling party, and then ED has responded to the court also, special court under this PMLA Act, that the files are missing, and that too in digital era. Files may be manual, may have been burned, but the point is in the digital era, if this response is coming that the files are missing, and that simply raises a concern about the misuse. So in this answer we may present 2-3 small separate example, and that is about the existence of the bureaucratic machinery in case of democratic system, in case of military rule, and within the democratic system the application of abuse of authority. So one example of the three can be more than enough in order to explain this concept, because question is about explain. Is it? So authoritarian approach by the bureaucracy obviously will become non-democratic in nature. That was all for section A part of this paper. Moving to the next, section B part. Within the section B, the very first question is, that is question number 5. A. The constitutional stature provides to the Public Service Commission because the term has been used, Public Service Commission, accord them the autonomy to work towards the fair recruitment comment. So basically the same idea is about the constitutional status has been given to these organizations, and idea is to protect their autonomy. So when we talk about these public service commissions from Article 315, they derive their authority to function. And in that context, yes, it is true, they have independence, they have charge expenditure plus the removal procedure. These things are to ensure their autonomy so that they will not be pressurized by the government. They will not even participate in the corrupt practices for the benefits, and in case somebody pressurizes them, then that person cannot remove them from the office just because they are appointed in the name of the president. So lower authority cannot even remove them. So idea is to give them the protection and autonomy. And in that context, after mentioning this, just briefly mention few functions. That means recruitment, conduct of exam for this recruitment, syllabus, training, conditions of service, and disciplinary proceedings. All these 4-5 functions will be enough in order to present this particular answer, because it's a direct answer for the working. And just to maintain a balance, 1 or 2 concerns can be shown. Concern is political interference. That is one. And apart from this, that is also with respect to the paper leak. That's more important. These days the paper leak from various states, various state exams are getting cancelled again and again. That is a major concern. So interference as well as leak and no accountability is becoming a bigger challenge. So just 2-3 small points in one paragraph will be more than enough to balance this answer. Next one, 5B. The neutrality of the civil service has become myth. Comment. Already above we were discussing that answer, minister civil servant relations. So here you may use the idea neutrality of the civil servant has become a myth. In order to explain this, you may explain the concept of political neutrality, because that is needed, and essential character, which is not mentioned usually in the question, but it is equally important for this neutrality, that is anonymity. And both of them are essential for the third thing, which is political, or we can use the term ministerial accountability. That's a concern. So we have a concept of ministerial accountability, and for that purpose only, in a parliamentary democracy like India, we have opted for these guiding values: political neutrality and anonymity. So earlier I was discussing in that question, permanent executive and the political executive, those example, any one or two can be utilized here, like an IAS officer, is it? And not reported to the meeting of disaster management, and later on he took VRS and state government appointed the same person as the special advisor. Earlier, one DG rank officer from the central forces, CAPF forces, he was earlier CBI director, then appointed as the Director General for the CAPF, and then he was suddenly brought back to appoint as the Delhi Commissioner of Police. So these things somewhere creates a kind of political favoritism. And in 2019 only, the Principal Secretary in the PMO has been promoted to the rank of a cabinet so that he can participate in the meetings of the cabinet. Those kind of decisions raises a major concern about the neutrality and domination of patronage, political patronage. Even in the past, Odisha Chief Minister means ex-Chief Minister. So you may use just that means in the state of Odisha, the chief minister appointed an IAS officer. Do not name them, but just that way, don't name political party also, but that is an ideal way to present in a neutral scenario that shows a political neutrality. That is the idea. So one or two example will be more than enough in order to authenticate your explanation. And to make it more futuristic idea, you can use All India Service Conduct Rules, 1968. That's a idea. Next one, discuss the role of or examine the role of Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. It was an expected one because independent regulatory bodies, either TRAI, either SEBI, are most favorite these days for the examination system, and therefore it's about just the role of TRAI. So examine the role of TRAI in protecting the interest of the consumer. So with respect to this, the TRAI role has to be provided, and mentioning those parts, you may suggest that TRAI will be supposed to protect the consumer interest. They have to ensure level playing field. They also have to ensure grievance redressal mechanism, so that any problem among the service provider can also be sorted out, and any challenge with the consumer can also be sorted out. That is the basic requirement of this. Plus, they can even recommend reforms in the policy, also help in drafting of a new policy. That's just 4-5 points in order to briefly explain the role what TRAI is supposed to do, and give more weightage on this. Protection of the interest of consumer. So imagine in recent current year only, suddenly one company has increased the prices of the recharge. Others may have not increased, but suddenly one company has increased the prices of recharge. And few years back when this company was launched, they were providing every next services almost free of cost. So gradually they have changed the habit of the people for the free services, and now they are increasing these prices again and again. And one big trap which is not even getting resolved by the TRAI, and that is what, in 1 year, if I'm using a bill connection or phone number, I have to only pay the bill 12 times. But if I'm using it as a prepaid system, then these are for 28 days. And in 1 year, we are making 13 recharge. And imagine this is not getting controlled by the TRAI from the decades. And this is supposed to be a part and parcel of reforms in the policy, because how in the name of the prepaid consumer, and remember prepaid consumers are more than the postpaid bill number holder, and that is not even helping to protect the consumer's interest. And that's why this is negative side, and criticize it also like that there's a lack of proactive approach, lack of professional approach, and lack of dedication also to protect the interest of the consumer, and not taking actions against the big corporate houses who are flaunting the violation of these policies and the guideline. That way the balance can the criticism part can be mentioned, and in case if you still have the space left, then you may suggest some solution that they should act proactively, and can be provided the independent status to take action against the big corporate houses, so that they can effectively protect the interest of the consumer. That way this structure is possible by adding the content as well as the current issue. One question number 5D. Parliamentary control over public expenditure is declining. So it is about legislative control in financial matters. So how the parliament will exercise control over the financial matter? Briefly just include 4-5 instruments, like you have the budget thing or annual financial statement. You have cut motions. Then you have application of principle of guillotine. You have audit report of the CAG, and one more we can add, that is vote on account or vote of credit. Two separate concepts are there. Any one which you remember can be included, and just a line on each of them. And second part will be the critic, and that is about what? That cut motions are rarely introduced, parliamentary disruption is resulting into loss of the time, excessive use of principle of guillotine is resulting into passage of budget without any debate and discussion. That type of criticism can be mentioned, and that will simply justify this idea that it is true that the legislative control in the financial matter is not that effective. And in the recent year, if you go by the newspaper, you will see the number of audit report presented in the house or tabled in the house has declined. This also shows that even if it is not regularly reported, then imagine what will be examined by the Public Accounts Committee. Because PAC is supposed to examine the audit report of the CAG, and if reports are not tabled, so PAC will also not examine anything, and that will make this legislative control ineffective. That is an idea for this answer. Moving to the next part, question number 5E. The liberalization, privatization and globalization has enhanced the participation of private sector in Indian economy. So basically the question is about LPG, and because of the LPG, what has been transformed in the country? Private sector role has gone up. And question is about comment only. So we will say yes. It is true that after the economic liberalization, what happened in the country is use pubed institutional pluralism. So now we have more service provider and they are competing from public sector, private sector, and also MNCs. All are together providing the goods and services to general public. Not just that, what also has happened is the emergence of public-private partnership. And for that, you may use two different dimensions to make it more effective application part. How? If it is economic development, then you will find corporate sectors or the companies which are participating in the development, let's say airport, road construction, port development. Everywhere you will find the corporate sector is emerging and participating in the nation building or economic growth. Because of this, employment generation, standard of living, balanced growth, that is also taking place. And second side is social welfare. In case of social welfare, we are unable to attract this private sector or corporate sector. But in case of this social welfare aspect, we are able to attract the non-governmental organizations, and that is NGOs, self-help groups, which are broadly considered by the term civil society organization, and they are helping in various aspects. Education in the rural area. Education in urban area, private schools are dominating. Then health sector. So health facility in the rural area, ASHA workers. Health facility in urban area, private hospitals are dominating. So that's way you may utilize this bifurcation with respect to the public-private partnership. And a concern. Concern is what? It is true, by opening up of the economy for private sector, we have registered high growth rate. But it is also relevant to remember that there is inequality issue. And not just that, when the government adopt the policy of disinvestment privatization, it goes against the philosophy of DPSP. Because in DPSP, one of the guiding principle is mentioned as prevent concentration of wealth and income in just few hands. And when we are selling the government institution to a private corporate house, we are actually going in a reverse direction. And not just that, when it is going to just one or two corporate houses, then surely it goes against the violation of the principle mentioned in the DPSP. So this minor concern is also supposed to be included so that the answer will become constitutionally correct. Is it? That's an idea, because being a bureaucracy, we cannot ignore the philosophies given in the constitution. Is it? That goes against economic justice kind of portions. Now, next question, question number 6A. The success of the administrative reforms in a country like India depends upon the political will. So it's a direct and a regular question on administrative reforms. And because it's a 20 marker, so we require to explain, increase the length of this part. So what you will do, briefly include concept of administrative reforms. And if possible, try to include the scholar Gerald Caden. That these are artificially induced. So it is there that the people are not ready for reform, but we have to make the plan in such a way that we can have incentives, we can have the reward thing, and then these reforms can be adopted. And as per the Gerald Caden, administrative reforms can broadly be classified into 4 types. 1. Reform through political changes. So whenever a political party changes, the new policies may come, and that reform will come through political changes. Apart from that, reforms to overcome organizational rigidity. So imagine we are working manually and suddenly we decided to adopt e-governance. So this will help us to overcome our procedural problem. Political changes. Imagine certain state governments are providing free services. That is basically in order to make the services affordable, but because of the government change, that's happening. And more better examples we can have, let's say adoption of technology. Adoption of e-bus. So political parties are willing and they are able to bring those kind of change. Plus we can have reform through legal system. So reform through legal system means we have to pass a law. So imagine the Constitutional Amendment Act 99, NJAC 101, CAA with respect to the GST. So that's happening through the legal system by amending the constitution or even by making a law by the legislature. That's a concern. And one more, reforms by changes in attitude. So this is behavioral aspect. Swachh Bharat. LPG subsidy. So the government of India introduced Give It Up campaign. That can be part here. Or this is about ending petrol subsidy, diesel subsidy, so that these prices can be market determined. So when the government changed in 2014, they have ended the subsidies on the diesel as well and said the prices of the petrol will be determined on the daily basis. Policies on disinvestment or privatization, that is also because of the political change. These things can happen at center as well as state level, and these all idea will be explaining the concept part in detail along with relevant example. And then comes the problems, and that problems will be like, there are, imagine lack of coordination between center and states. So as a center, I wanted to bring a change, but the states are not supporting. Vice versa can also happen. State maybe keep on demanding the changes in the policies and program, but central government have resistance on such matter. So as a result, that can create a problem for changes in reform or administrative mechanism. Apart from this, it is possible to include the idea, and that is about lack of infra at state level. तो जब state के पास infrastructure ही नहीं है, तो what they will do by bringing the new change. Let's say for example, we have a speed limit systems on different streets. There are speed limits. So imagine the CCTV radar cameras are not there. Speed cameras, speed guns are not available across the country, across the cities, across the highways. And therefore, whatever speed limit you will plan, how this is going to be implemented. So number of time, due to lack of infrastructure available at the state level, you are not in a position to implement the reform. Same way, the vehicle scrappage policy. So as per the vehicle scrappage policy, 10-year, 15-year life of diesel and petrol vehicle in Delhi. But after that, for any another state, it is 15 years life for both petrol and diesel vehicle. So if the state government has not even formulated a policy, and I wanted to surrender my vehicle because it may be diesel vehicle and 10 years have been done, so I may not get even the compensation as per the policy. So again, due to lack of means political will, the policy may not be properly implemented. Sometimes the government brings the policies like PM, this Ayushman Bharat, and our state is not participating. Again, due to political reason, the policy is not getting approved, and even Ayushman Bharat not applicable in the NCT of Delhi. Then government of Delhi decided some Farishte program, and right now nobody know whether the Farishte program is also working or it is out of the context. Pollution control scenario, that's also becoming a challenge. That see now the coming month will be there, and all these pollution issues will be coming, and that require an attitudinal change on the part of our system, but that is missing due to lack of coordination between center and state. Plus, you can even add some administrative mechanism also, because administration will work under political directions. So lack of administrative will, lack of professionalism on their part, is it? And lack of ability to foresee, lack of incentive. These things can also adversely affect the successful execution of administrative reforms. These ideas can be structured because it's a 20-marker question, and maybe for the future aspect, you may suggest any idea from second ARC. That second ARC has suggested certain ideas for administrative reforms with respect to civil services, with respect to structures of the ministry. So just 4-5 separate dimensions can be included in order to show with respect to administrative machinery. Next one. The journey of the transformation of local self-government has been long. Examine the challenges to realize the spirit of the Gram Swaraj. And that's also a 20-marker question. So with respect to this, it is about rural Panchayati Raj institutions, and we may have to bring in this part, maybe with because the concept is Gram Swaraj. So idea has to be taken with respect to the PRIs, and that is about the transformation journey. So examine the challenges to realize. So let's say the 73rd Amendment Act has advocated 3-tier structure for the Panchayati Raj institution, and also it has advocated 29 functions. Plus, it has advocated the taxation power. That means we are talking about the constitutional provisions with respect to the working. But these things are dependent upon the law passed by the state government. And various states we have not given all the 29 functions to the panchayat. That is one part which we can present. But to make it more relevant for the Gram Swaraj concern, it is important to mention about functions of Gram Panchayat. Resources at the rate Gram Panchayat. Concept of social audit at the rate Gram Panchayat. Because Gram Sabha is supposed to perform the social audit of the working of the Gram Panchayat, and that idea will take your explanation from constitutional provisions to the practical side. For the purpose of this, it is good if you can include any state. Ideally, we should include our state, that what is happening in our state. So it is Karnataka, it is maybe Maharashtra, could be Telangana, any state we can use for the purpose of this. So Gram Panchayat function, Gram Panchayat resources and the social audit, that is the second part. And then become a third, which is generalized part, and that is criticism. For this criticism, we can use ARC. Second, the report on the local self-government. That is, they suffer from functionaries, they have not transferred adequate financial resources for the taxation, fee generation, and that become part of the criticism. And give a way forward. Adequate function should be transferred, all 29 functions should be transferred, taxation power shall be given, and they should have the district planning committee for each district, and then the DPC shall work as, second ARC suggested that there should be concept of district government or district council, and the DC shall work as the secretary also to the district government and CEO also of the district government. So dual role will be played by him, line as well as staff function, and that could be used from the second ARC recommendation. And luckily this year we have two questions from the local government, and both are lengthy. One with respect to the rural, another came with respect to the urban body, and that was 7B. So one is 6B, one is 7B. So 6B is for the panchayat and 7B was for the urban local body. So for 7B, very similar status we will follow. Let's go by one only. When we are going for the, this was 6B. When you are going for the 7B only, so instead of the 73rd, you may talk about 74th. So that is three types of municipality, means elections of them, transfer of functions, 18 functions as per the constitutional provision, that is there. And then for practical side, you can use any one state example of municipal corporation. Either Delhi, either Mumbai, either Chennai, either Bengaluru, any one state, or it's ideal you use your own state from where you belong to, so that your state knowledge will also get enhanced by that concept. And that will be the practical side. And then these kind of points are common, means there is lack of ownership in the city by the people residing there, and also the lack of financial resources generated by them, limited capability to generate the taxes, and lack of ability to foresee with respect to the leadership, excessive politicization of the life, and lack of implementation initiative or infrastructure at the hands of the local body. These kind of 5 to 6 common criticisms can be used in order to explain. And idea of second ARC, there should be area sabha, that is very unique term. And this area sabha shall perform social audit. Because in rural part social audit is provided, but urban part the social audit has been a missing concern. So very much similar structure is required here for the urban local body. Answer number 7B will be based upon the explanation from the 6B only. That's why I have just taken them together, because points are more or less similar, only difference will be this part, constitutional part. Provisional sites, Niti Aayog has conducted a study in recent years that has highlighted 8 to 10 criticism. So that is new report, so it is better to utilize Niti Aayog's criticism. Suggestion for reform were not included by them. We will use the second ARC, and second ARC suggested this area sabha. They said municipal bonds can be issued by the urban local body to generate financial resources for long term, so that they can develop their own infrastructure and improve their working. That type of idea has been useful for this question number 7B. Going back, question number 6C. So this is with respect to Capacity Building Commission. So when we talk about this Capacity Building Commission, it is an outcome of mission Karam Yogi. And under this mission Karam Yogi is PM HR Council, decision making body, supported by Cabinet Secretariat to provide the assistance, Cabinet Secretariat Coordination Unit. That's a part there. And then it has a third structure, Capacity Building Commission. And one more, they have created a non-profit oriented company with the name Karam Yogi Bharat. It's a special purpose vehicle registered as a non-profit one. So in intro, we may use this part. The Karam Yogi platform has introduced this 4-tier structure for the training program of the civil services, and this needs to be highlighted because it's a direct one. So briefly mention the function or the role which has been highlighted for this body. So CBC is in a position to develop this online platform, and they are using the Karam Yogi Bharat mechanism for purpose of providing training to various civil servants, including group B and C also, so that their skills can be upgraded in the era of digital India, or to perform functions effectively with digital public infrastructure. That's a direct and marker question. So 5-6 points with respect to the functions will be added. That's the way. Next one, that is about separation of police investigation from the prosecution has its own benefits. So this is about police reforms. So when we are writing about this intro part, we may even give weightage to the concept that police as a subject, state, is it? And apart from this, there has been the various commissions on this, National Police Commission. Then apart from the National Police Commission, even Supreme Court has asked to draft Model Police Act. Soli Sorabji, he drafted the Model Police Act on the directions of the Supreme Court, because Government of India have created that committee. So that is there. And then various of these commissions, including the second ARC as well. Second ARC on their report on public order have also advocated about the police reform. So just briefly, it's better to include the names of these three, and then either one of them is to be brought for the explanation of police reforms. And one of the major reforms suggested by all of them was one, separation of investigation separation of investigation and prosecution, so that they will work with more autonomy, and the prosecution team will be collecting the evidence and even fighting the case within the court, and there should be a more professionalism can be maintained. So this will benefit also to the police in a larger manner, and you may explain here even board of investigation was advocated by the second ARC, that can also be mentioned. And for the better one means what will be the benefits there. So this investigation will become more professional. They will have focus upon the forensic evidence. They can be supported by the mobile units or mobile labs, so that more better professionalism can be there. There could be skilled or trained workforce for this in order to protect the crime scene, because recently when the West Bengal incident has happened, so it was reported that even the crime scene was destroyed by the large number of gathering of the crowd, and that is a non-professional working on the part of investigation team. Because if investigation is not proper, then remember please, the prosecution team will also fail. So prosecution team will be with respect to the team of the advocates, public prosecutors who are going to present and contest the case in the court of law, and both are part of criminal justice system. So that way this structure can be advocated, and for reform aspect please use the second ARC. That is an idea in order to structure it, because it's a 20 marker. That's why I start with this part, police as a subject and simple explanation of public order thing. Then mention about the name of various commission which has talked about police reform, and thereafter go on the detailed part of separation of investigation and prosecution, and add its advantages. And then the way forward idea, recommendations by the second ARC with respect to this police reform or separation. That is an overall use of the information. Next one, already 7B we had discussed with 6B. So 7C, NIA. It's again a direct question with respect to the role of NIA. So NIA Act, after the Mumbai terror attack, we decided to even create a special body in order to deal with the issues of terror and other special investigation. And then under this act, the NIA has been created. So just briefly we need to mention about the role of NIA. So NIA will be investigating into terror attack, terror funding, is it? That's a major concern they have to perform. They can have their special court. The decision of the special court can be challenged with the High Court or even the Supreme Court. That is a scenario will be working, and their workforce will be provided by the center, and state government can also report any incidents of bomb blast or other thing to the NIA for the detailed investigation. And embassy related issues which are having the bigger consequences with respect to internal diplomacy one, so we can also refer them to the NIA. Like in the last 2-3 years nearby the Israel embassy also some you can say public order related challenge was observed, and that time also the matter was referred to NIA. So just referring these 1 or 2 small example can simply enhance the application part of your knowledge with respect to NIA and working. So that was related to the NIA, and it's one of the most professionally you can say working body, but rate of convictions are less. So conviction rate is a major challenge, and conviction rates are very slow even despite having the special court and the working also, but conviction rates are less. And in recent year this PFI was also, their accounts were seized by the investigation and other, and even in the J&K various traders who were making a misuse of the business with respect to the terror funding, they all have came in the scrutiny of NIA, and their accounts and other things have been restricted and closed. So with the respect to that, this is essential. Next one, moving to the last question. Police public relations are poor in India. What measures are required to strengthen these relations? And it's again asked in a 20 marker. So with respect to the police public relations, bifurcate in this way, that what is the role of police? This you can mention from Model Police Act. And it is more about social responsibilities. That is needed. It is more about the social responsibilities of the police, helping the people who are in distress, helping the children, helping the distressed women. Somebody may be looking for the suicide option, so for them also the protection is needed, and counseling rather than punishing those people. In case of accidents also providing the sensitive support to the victim and taking care of them, taking to the hospital. These basic requirements are part of the social responsibilities of police. But image of police. This image of police adversely affect police public relations. That's a concern, means lack of trust, suspicious attitude, behavioral aspects also, is it? And those idea will be useful here for identifying the bad public police relations. And then on that basis, recommendation. Recommendation of ARC2. What is that? Sensitive training, behavioral training to the police, is it? With respect, should not reveal the identity also of the victim, should not reveal the identity of even the RTI activists as well who are seeking the protection. So in that context, this ARC recommendation should also be included, and you can divide it into these three parts. Traditional functions for the police, which are from the social responsibilities from Model Police Act. Problems, that is what is the image of the police or how public look towards the police with respect to their professionalism or lack of professionalism, like corrupt image and other things will be part of this. And then a way forward idea with respect to the second ARC, these can be done. Second last question, question number 8B. 8B is a direct one with respect to the role of CAG. So here also constitutional provisions you can use from Article 148 to 151. Appointment of CAG by the President, and then independence of the CAG, then duties and powers and functions of the CAG, Article 149, a classification of accounts 150, and audit report by the CAG. Just 4 small points regarding the constitutional provision. And then you come using these 4 articles upon 2 things: types of audit and functions. These functions are explanation of article number 149, and regarding this we have CAG DPC Act 1971. So using that act we may be structuring the answer with respect to the working of the CAG, and based upon these functions we are able to classify here. One is called proprietary audit, financial audit, performance audit. So that 3 types of audit, and even this was a question in the GS also this year, GS paper 2. So knowledge of this portion of the PubMed can also enhance the score in GS. And then criticisms, that's a classification. Means CAG only emphasize upon fault finding. The report of the CAG are very lengthy. Nature of the work is post-mortem in nature. and there is no action para taken report. Reports of the CAG are not tabled also at the state level. Publicity of the CAG reports are missing, and people are not even aware about the working and reports of the CAG in recent time. That type of criticism can be utilized. And then recommendations means adequate publicity should be there. The PAC shall examine the report of the CAG. There should be monitoring system for online, that is audit para monitoring system developed by the Ministry of Finance, but it should be regularly updated. That type of reforms can be provided in the part. So that will be one page we are writing about these. Next page, second, we are writing about the function. Third page, we are going on the criticism part. And fourth one, we are talking about the ARC recommendation, and that way we can increase the adequate requirement of this question. And the last one, critically examine the problems of administration in coalition regime. So basically the question is coalition politics, and under that the problem faced by the administration. Is it? So when we talk about the administrative problem in the coalition regime, we may be facing with respect to this low morale, political pressure, transfers and posting, political motivated transfers and posting, patronage in appointment, political interference. That type of 5-6 point with a relevant example can be mentioned, and that's why the coalition politics will create a lack of stable administrative machinery. In fact, whenever this coalition partners keep on changing, so as a result, even the officers and the mass transfers used to happen. And not just that, even one negative point also, corrupt practice. Corruption starts getting multiplied in the coalition era because nobody is going to take the accountability of such mishaps. And as a result, these all points can be utilized in order to structure this 10-marker answer or for problems of administration in the coalition regime. That is all with respect to these paper. Paper was more on a regular pattern, and it is not that type of vague which used to happen in the 4-5 years back. It is becoming now again a normal a subject, and it can enhance also the overall scoring, and we can expect in that paper anywhere between 270 to 320 marks weightage, depending upon how you have incorporated constitutional provision, conceptual explanation, relevant examples, and critical evaluation with the help of suggestion of second ARC. Because if you do not include these way, then scoring part will be very limited. But it is overall a good paper, and same was reflected for the paper 1. We expect a very positive result for you, and I hope we have been able to do a justice with this explanation part. Thank you so much. We will meet again in the future discussions. That is all. Thank you.